You remember Smash 4, right? 2 games under a trench coat disguised as 1 game. But let's go ahead and chuck the 3DS version aside to hone in on a specific quirk from a Wii U release.
Oh, it's a pun! Oh, that is a lot of controllers!
Wii U Gamepad, Wii Classic Controller, GameCube Controller. This thing lists an entire 3DS as an input device. I'm going to be playing Smash 4 with every controller I have and give back my thoughts on each one, including playing Smash Wii U on the Nintendo 3DS at the end. So stick with me because we need to find the best one. Please, for the love of God, do not tell me it's the GameCube Controller. We have to find this out scientifically and not logically by following the entire majority of the Pro Smash scene since Melee released for the GameCube. Just follow my lead. Did I not just cover the Wii U in depth and discussed why it failed the entire Wii U system? No? Okay, let's just roll with it. The gamepad is a bloated mess that sunk the entire console down with it, but it made a pretty decent Smash Bros. Controller, I think. Look, when I was a kid, I never owned a Wii U Pro Controller. I had my gamepad and just kind of dealt with it, and it never really felt off to me at all until I just used it now. I've always given the gamepad a bit of a benefit of the doubt because I had little to no issue with it as a regular controller. Design-wise, fails. Proportion-wise, fails. Gimmick-wise, fails so badly. But I've never really lamented having to use it for Wii U games because it's always been a fine enough thing to use, except playing it now just felt bleh. Best way to describe it. Nothing offensive, but it's starting to lose that charm it carried for me. And it's probably because my hands have grown a little or something stupid like that. But I'm gonna say what I feel. This doesn't even feel good anymore. It does fill out my feature complete checklist. 2 analog sticks, 4 face buttons, 1 D-pad, 2 triggers, at least 1 shoulder button, and a start button. So in terms of controlling Super Smash Bros. Specifically, this does still work. But I just can't really get behind it. Something's either changed with the way the thickness of the gamepad sits in my hands, the way the thumbs move from the sticks that always felt like they lacked a little bit of traction, or maybe I'm just a more hardened and tougher individual who gives less benefit of the doubt and enjoys simple childhood pleasures less. Maybe that's what's stopping Smash 4 and the Wii U gamepad from feeling as good as they did before. Maybe that's my issue.
Or maybe the gamepad was just never that good.
Oh, and before I forget, this is the only console here that features a screen that can mirror your gameplay with minimal input latency. And you can tap it to feature this blown up version of the scoreboard. What a waste. But I feel bad. Sure, it gets a bonus mark or 2 for having a really poorly cooked up gimmick, and hopefully that's the last time I ever need to mention said gimmick for a good while. If you just need something to play Smash Bros with, it does work, but it's just never going to feel as good as some of these other offerings. Offerings much like the Wii U Pro Controller. Oh. Is it between the couch cushions somewhere?
Okay, yep, you got me. I don't have one. I've never bought a Wii U Pro Controller. I'll get one to you by the end of the week. I promise.
Here's the full replay. I've never owned a Wii U Pro Controller, but I've used it before. Not for Super Smash Bros, but rather Mario Kart Double Dash. Blame friends of Hacked Wii U for that one. So while I feel comfortable giving you a brief history of a Pro Controller and its feature list, i.e. Diet Wikipedia article, I'm gonna have to call in the big guns for some actual opinions. Weirdly, it kind of reminds me of one of those fake unbranded controllers you'll see in TV shows, where they cook up some weird amalgamation of the DualShock and Xbox controllers to create the most generic controller ever. Nintendo defended this design by saying it was driven by what feels good in the hand and offers a richer experience than the Wii Classic Controller, but like, does it though?
On paper, this looks pretty much identical functionality-wise to the Wii Classic Controller Pro, except now you don't have to plug it in, so yay.
But I haven't played Super Smash Bros. With it, and I'm not going to, which is why I need to hand it over, just briefly, to our leading Wii U Pro Controller in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U expert, George Dawn, for some more information. Take it away.
Oh, I knew I bought these 3 Wii U Pro Controllers for nothing.
So yeah, playing this thing for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, it's alright. I do think there's some problems I have with it. Overall, it's pretty comfortable. It's not like peak comfortable, but it's pretty comfortable. It does the job. I will say though, I do have one major problem with the controller, and it seems to be heard everywhere else on the internet. This dumb little thumbstick. Like, it feels fine in concept, but it's like, oh, I can only focus buttons, or I can only focus the stick. And for a fighting game with, you know, razor-tight controls, that isn't great. That is not a great thing to not have all your buttons available to you. Like, I'm like, ooh, dash attack. home button for Smash Brothers, it's alright, I guess. You just don't have all the buttons available to you at once, and it doesn't feel fast enough, or like, oh, I can't respond quite in time to what I want to do. So it is not like a pro controller. It is not a professional controller, much as it wants to say. It is just an average, good feeling controller. It's okay. You'd be better off with a Wii U Gamepad.
Okay, time for a surprisingly large chunk of the 2014 game's available control schemes. Let's start moving through the Wii trilogy. Taking things from the top, slowly moving our way down, and eventually hitting rock bottom with a Wii Remote on its side, but that's spoilers, and a slightly obvious pick for worst controller of the video. The Wii Classic Controller released in 2009 as an accessory for the Wii Remote. Every remote has this built-in accessory port that lets you plug in anything from accelerometers to heart rate monitors.
This isn't working, and I flatlined anyways. Yay! Thank you, Nintendo, for cancelling the vitality sensor. Maybe I'd still be here today if you didn't. Woo!
2 analog sticks, 4 face buttons, a D-pad, start and select, 2 shoulder buttons, and 2 triggers. This thing is like the definition of okay. First impressions tell me that everything is reachable, usable, and generally okay, but like, everything is just ever so slightly off. The controller is slightly too light, the thumbsticks are slightly too small, the shoulder buttons and triggers are just slightly too far apart. You get what I'm getting at? It's not an uncomfortable hold, and I can use it well, but it feels like it's missing everything that would take it from a good controller to use to an effortless controller to use, and I'm kind of looking for that from what I play Smash Bros with. Again, this is not a bad controller at all. I enjoyed my time with it and even pulled off this sick Luigi spike. Damn! But it's missing that edge, which makes me want to use it over a lot of this list, which for some reason was a little surprising. Much like this! This took me by surprise, in a good way! Let's get into it because, oh my god, this was actually a nice Smash Bros experience. First of all, the Wii Remote and Nunchuk control scheme was introduced all the way back in 2006 with the creation of the Wii, after Nintendo had experimented with a Wii Remote and Nunchuk accessory for the GameCube. There's your singular fun fact about the Nunchuk. I am 100% convinced you own one of these already and know it inside and out. D-pad, A and B buttons, 1 and 2 buttons, the whole combo only has 1 control stick. Yikes! The Nunchuk itself also has a Z button and a C button. Never heard of that one before. This is the first controller we've covered that hasn't had every single feature I simply demand for playing Super Smash Bros, which initially drove me away. I can tell you for a fact, I've never, ever played with this setup when I was growing up, because it wasn't a traditional controller, and yeah, I probably was right for not doing that, but now that I've actually tried it, I'm shocked.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked. This is actually nice!
Maybe it's because I went from the gamepad and all of its bulk straight to the lightweight two-handed Wii Remote and Nunchuk, but this felt so much easier to use. Even with a non-traditional control scheme, I didn't mind too much because these things are actually laid out quite smartly between the two controllers. All of your movement can be done via your left hand between moving, jumping, and rolling using your shield, and all of your attacks can be done basically with the index finger and thumb, just by pressing A and B. You can even move your thumb ever so slightly onto the D-pad to shield and grab. I didn't even realise the latter was bound at first, but the implementation is sick. For some godforsaken reason, Smash Bros just feels natural like this, to the point where I kept getting the urge to shake my Wii Remote for some kind of input. I don't even know what kind. I've never played Smash Bros with a Wii Remote and Nunchuk up until now. What was I thinking? Funniest part is, there's actually a shake to smash option, which would have been the most logical option to attach to shaking the Wii Remote, but again, I've never used this before. I didn't know about that before. Why was I doing that?
But it's not without flaw. You see, you only get one movement stick with this controller setup, which sucks for someone like me who likes setting their right stick to use the tilt attack, just so I don't need to worry about any fine inputs using my movement stick while I'm attacking. It's the whole Smash Bros thing. If you don't get it, just don't worry about it. But to be perfectly honest, I would not be opposed to using these for a casual match of Smash Bros at all. Now, if we're gonna do this, on the other hand... Ah! 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 You get what I'm getting at here, right? Like, this isn't the smoothest way to do it, but the Wii Remote on its side sucks.
The Wii Remote in horizontal mode can be connected to the Wii U console while Super Smash Bros. For Wii U is running. I did not and will not say that Smash 4 can be played with this controller. Initially introduced as the Wii standard controller in 2006, this was designed to be used in both vertical and horizontal configurations, but vertical is very clearly preferred. I can feel the preference from here. 0 control sticks, A, B, 1, 2, and start and select. This is the most bare bones configuration you can play Smash Bros with. For fuck's sake, I'd go as far as saying the single Joy-Con in Smash Ultimate is better than doing whatever this is in Smash 4. Like, I can't get over it. It really has no control sticks.
Seriously, drink this in. 0 thumbsticks. You've got to rely on that up on the D-pad for a jump button. You have to use tap jump. It's so bad. Now, I respect my tap jumping friends who may have gotten started on Smash Melee or just genuinely prefer the setup. That's fine. But it's not for me. So a controller layout that absolutely mandates it to even function sounds like and felt like an absolute nightmare.
I did not play many matches with this thing. 30 seconds into my first game was enough to say, yeah, this is awful. Like, it was always going to be. This video was never going to be called, I found the secret best Smash 4 controller. Like, no! That's held exclusively for the Wii Remote Nunchuk. Anyways, yeah, it felt like absolute horseshit to play on. Holding this thing raw is just plain uncomfortable with how small and cramped it is. It's like trying to play Smash Bros with a slightly more sophisticated NES controller. That is not a compliment. It is 2024. The D-pad ends up saddled with doing everything in game. It needs to move from left to right, take double presses instead of double flicks of the control stick to start sprinting, and also jump. Moving left to right while jumping, I get flashbacks. Genuine flashbacks. Not to mention my index finger keeps hitting B, which is your grab button. What seems like a nice resourceful button mapping on paper is actually a nightmare because I keep squeezing it by accident and air dodging as I jump. You can't move on this thing. It fundamentally does not work for Smash Bros. 1000%, this ended up included in Smash 4 as a carryover from Smash Brawl. And this was only included in Smash Brawl in the first place because Nintendo probably begged Sakurai and the Smash Bros development team to include a single Wiimote control scheme in their game to promote easy 4-player couch co-op. Like, this does not work for Smash Bros. I'm sorry, but it does not.
Can some of this be fixed with controller remapping? Of course. I mean, maybe you create another problem by doing that, but most of this, like the air dodge, is fixable by just remapping buttons. But it's just so functionally bad beyond that. It hurts to hold. Everything about it is... My palate is like... Ugh, it's like tainted from using that. God, if only I had another good Smash Bros controller to use somewhere around here. God, if only Sakurai had made the best Smash Bros controller like 2 Smash Bros ago from this point. God, I guess we'll never know.
It's the 3DS. I know I didn't fool you. Let's move on to the GameCube controller. Most people will view this as the Smash Bros controller, used in every tournament, used by every competitive player. Every casual Smash player probably gets assigned one when they buy the game, or if you have low honor, then you get given the Wiimote and just have to put up with it. And this is half true. Since Super Smash Bros. Melee in 2001, all 3 Super Smash Bros. Games had GameCube controller support at launch, either through built-in controller ports on the Wii, or as sold separately adapted for the Wii U and Switch, the only exception being the 3DS release, because did you even want to do this? But like, why is the GameCube controller being dragged around like this to this day? Because looking at it, it doesn't really look like the ideal Smash controller. Analog triggers, 1 shoulder button, 2 analog sticks, a tiny D-pad, and a really weird way to set up 4 face buttons. It meets the baseline features that I'd like it to have, but holding it, is there a reason to keep bringing this thing kicking and screaming into the current year?
It just makes me feel good at the game. Or is this what you want to hear? I use the GameCube controller for Smash Bros. Because it makes me feel like I'm good. Something about the way I flick the sticks and press the analog triggers makes me feel like I'm good at Smash Bros.
It just has something about it. The massive A button for your standard attacks. The smaller B button to the down left of it. Weird pill-shaped X and Y buttons. Don't actually add anything to the Smash experience. I don't know. Both of these get bound to jump, and pressing both only serves a purpose in Smash Ultimate, so this is just how it is. But this button layout just has a kick to it when you're playing Smash Bros. And only Smash Bros. Seriously, don't play a 2D platformer with this thing, you'll feel like biting your fingers off. The analog triggers don't have any function based on how hard or soft you press them, but they're cool to use. You don't have to click them into shield, which is nice. Your singular Z button controls grabs. The left stick has little ridges on the top, which feels super nice to grip with your thumb. There's a grand total of 2 downsides to using this thing.
The D-pad is small and the C-stick is also small, but fun fact, some people swap out the C-sticks on their GameCube controllers with thumbsticks from the Nunchuk controllers to get a bit of a raise on it, which makes it feel better apparently, and to make it much bigger. But those are 2 really, really minor flaws for a game most reliant on its left analog stick and the superb button layout. So, yeah, this is probably the best controller.
I know it's a cop-out to say it, but yeah. What else could I possibly say? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, unless it's a small C-stick. But other than that, this is a fantastic controller, especially for Super Smash Bros. I mean, there's a reason practically every competitive player gravitates towards it and optimizes their controller for optimal snapback, input latency. They've dissected this thing, studied this thing, and modded this thing inside and out. It's so popular for Smash players, Nintendo made a new variant of the controller for Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate. Do you know how insane this image is for Nintendo? This isn't the company I once knew. Do something wacky instead.
I mean, yeah, that'll do it.
For Nintendo 3DS as a Wii U controller. And they only ever did that for one game. This is the weirdest thing to ever come out of it. No, Nintendo have probably done something weirder than this. Super Smash Bros. For Wii U launched alongside the first ever handheld Smash game, Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS. And obviously they were going to link together in some regard, even if it was just sharing a character roster in the majority of stages. So using one game as a controller for another was not on the bingo card. Here's how it works. Own a copy of both games and navigate to the 3DS and Wii U menus on the opposite console. The Wii U will wait for a connection while you start searching for consoles on the 3DS. Simple enough. From there you can start transferring your custom moves. Does anyone remember when Smash Bros started doing that? Or make your way to the Smash menu. It's like kind of disappointing that you can't play classic mode, but were you doing that? Come on, you can be honest with me. You weren't doing anything other than desperately clawing together consoles for 8-player Smash for this thing, so it's a non-issue. In terms of actually playing with the 3DS though, it's the epitome of just fine. I've played with a new 3DS before, but this time around I used my 3DS XL for the full 2014 experience, which was also just fine. It's a shame that I have to choose between a comfortable controller to hold with the XL or having half of a C-stick with the new 3DS.
This should really be my sign to get a new 3DS XL.
The XL is comfortable to hold, but we're missing triggers and any kind of second stick. Plus, the only stick is this slide pad, which I do admittedly find fine. It's not excellent, it's not my first choice, it's not something I'm clinging to, but it's fine enough to use in a pinch. Which kind of summarizes my thoughts about using the entire system in Smash Bros. Because you're never picking this over a regular controller. If you have at least a gamepad, you're not going through this entire setup process just to play some regular Smash. It's not worth it over picking up literally any other controller. And speaking of picking up literally any other controller, there's literally no other controllers left. Let's get ranking. Okay, I think tier lists are like in on this platform nowadays. Let's use that.
First off, there's a gamepad, and the gamepad is like okay, but also a little bit, what's the word? It's kind of mid compared to everything else, but it gets points for being the controller I played Smash with growing up, so it's going in B. Wii U Pro Controller. George didn't like it, but I refuse to believe this is worse than the gamepad, so it's going to sneak its way into A. Wii Classic Controller. I was a little bit let down by this one, but considering the fact it's a Wii accessory, I don't know why I'm surprised. We're going to throw it into B. Wii Remote Nunchuk, I was surprised by this one because it's a Wii accessory and surprised by the fact it was actually good, but I don't think it has the cojones to get into A tier, so we're going to put it in B, above the gamepad, lower than the Wii Pro Controller. I meant Wii U. GameCube Controller, like, you know where this is going. Come on, don't act a fool. Okay, f it, yeah. And the 3DS, like, I'm not ranking the XL and the new 3DS separately, and this is a picture of an old 3DS anyway, so we're just gonna put it in C. I forgot to rank the SD card.
Hey.